Now, 66% of us believe in life after death. 20% of us have seen or felt a ghost. 22% believe they'll be reincarnated. 58% believe deceased loved ones are still with them in spirit. And 20%, that's 1 in 5, have visited a psychic or a medium. Richard Lawarence is a best-selling author and paranormal expert and author of the award-winning Gods, Guides and Guardian Angels, and which he sent me a copy of, for which I'm grateful. Richard, thanks very much for joining us. We are a nation of believers in the paranormal. Are you surprised at that?
Well, I'm not surprised, and it's really good to talk to you, George.
Thanks, mate.
I'm not surprised that people believe in the paranormal, because polls have shown that for a while. What's interesting, though, is the experiences that people are having, and the fact that people are becoming what they're describing as more spiritual in their outlook. So it's not just like weird and wonderful stuff. They think it's significant and it has a meaning for them.
Well, I was surprised at something. I mean, that 66% believe in life after death.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised in, because most people profess to be religious believers, and all the monotheistic faiths promise a life after death, either a good one or a bad one. But I was surprised at the ghosts. 20%, 1 in 5, have either seen or felt a ghost.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, that I think is interesting, because people are having experiences, and I'm sure there's people listening right now who've had experiences which, are beyond coincidence. Things quite really significant things happen to them, sometimes even physical. For example, a note of paper might just float down from the top of a wardrobe, which at a particular time, which is very significant to them, and which they didn't even know was there. All sorts of things which are way beyond a coincidence, because that turned out to be the exact moment of the passing of a loved one, and all the way through to people sensing their presence in a very tangible way with smells, physical smells, maybe the smell of a particular perfume or a particular presence, to messages, sometimes detailed messages with facts which can be checked and prove accurate, which a person couldn't have known. Those sorts of things are going on. One of the figures, by the way, I was going to pick out, which I thought was very interesting, was 65% of people believe in karma, which I think in a Western secular stroke Christian country is very significant.
Quite surprising that that number of people know what is meant by karma.
Yeah.
In that particular faith. The other one that jumped out at me, Richard, was that 1 in 5 have visited a psychic or a medium, hoping, some of them, to speak to the dead. But when I looked at the list of deceased people that the respondents would most like to talk to, and discovered that top of the pops was Princess Diana. 1 in 5 would like to speak to her. And in 5th place was Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, that's worrying.
Rather worrying.
Yeah.
With Elvis limping in with just 6.27%. It struck me that maybe this survey had polled a rather, how shall I put it, unusual group of people.
Well, I mean, there's Winston Churchill in there, and Gandhi, so a lot of them are celebrities, I agree. I think the thing is that, people do believe in these things. I think that's even though we perhaps moved away from some of the dogmas of traditional religions, people are still looking to some priestly type figures, and some of them will turn to psychics. And by the way, I'm not saying that every psychic is accurate or even genuine, but there are some that I know are. I mean, I've actually trained people to unlock their psychic powers in a very safe way, and have real experiences that they can measure, that are tangible, that they know they're not imagining. But I would put out a warning. You do have to really tell the difference between your imagination and a real experience. And sometimes you don't know, and if you don't know, then just don't jump to any conclusions.
Brilliant. Richard Lawarence, who is the author of Gods, Guides and Guardian Angels, which he sent to me. If I get the chance to read it, I will, and I'll brief you on how it was.